It is time to spring clean your health. The weather is getting nice. It is time to get out and about and exercise and clean out all that junk out of your fridge and your pantry. Diane Dameron is here to help us out because that can sound stressful.
Yeah.
But this doesn't need to be stressful.
No, not at all. Just taking small steps to make lifestyle changes that you can live with, that you can attain as well as sustain for a long time, and ones that are fun. It can be enjoyable.
We're talking about NERD. It's nutrition, exercising, rest, and
daily.
Do it daily.
Yeah.
Gone over nutrition. We're rounding up exercising. One thing, it can improve your mood for up to 12 hours.
Yes.
I noticed this big time. I work out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, and I just have better days on those days.
And it's actually been shown to improve depression symptoms and all kinds of things that can actually just improve your mood for up to 12 hours right afterwards. But I think also once you kind of get into it, I think it's a lifetime.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I love that little endorphin high I get after running.
Yeah.
And it also helps with our R, which is rest. The better exercise you get, the better rest you get.
Exactly. If you exercise for 20-30 minutes, you will actually get more rest. It conditions your body and your mind for rest. So let's say you're only able to get 6-7 hours of sleep a night. If you actually convert some of that sleep into 20-30 minutes of exercise, you'll actually get a better, deeper REM sleep. If you're exercising, so you'll actually feel more rested if you're exercising.
And it's not because you're exhausted from exercising.
No.
It's just about what you're doing with your body.
Right, that metabolism and the way that you're able to exert your energy, and it all just kind of goes together.
And I don't think anybody I know says, oh, my sleep is perfect. I get enough sleep, I feel rested. I think we all could use better sleep.
Exactly. And a lot of times, again, it's not necessarily about trying to get more hours. We just need the better sleep. We're tossing and turning or whatever. So.
All right, let's take a break from this sleep talk and go to Miss Sarah. I think we may have lost her. I'm going to check the line here. Courtney, I don't have any lines out here, so Sarah, if you're there, just hang on and we will get this situation figured out. So we're going to continue to talk about rest. How much rest should we be getting? What's the goal?
Well, adults should get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and a lot of it just kind of depends on the person. Some people can be okay with 7 or 8. Some people need 8, a good 8. But school-age children need 10 to 11 hours of sleep a night, and a lot of them are not getting it. And I think a lot of that is screen time. And same way for teenagers. Teenagers need 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and they really need to get. I find the biggest thing is screen time, whether it's a phone or television. And a lot of times people will blame it on homework. Well, if you get rid of the screen earlier in the day, have them get the homework done, and then they'll get to bed. So yeah.
And a lot of these kids start school so early.
Yeah.
I know my son is still 2 years away from elementary school, but it starts at 7 a.m. It starts at 7 a.m.
It's really early for kids. I know some of them are talking about changing that, but either way, sleep is sleep, so just maybe shift everything forward as much as possible.
All right. Any other tips when it comes to getting sleep? I don't think so. Just rest.
Rest as much as possible, and I think it's important to set a bedtime too, because kids have a bedtime, but then kids can allow, because we know what adults need. Then I just say, have the parents have a bedtime as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I know right now with 2 little ones in the house, my husband and I, once the kids go down, we're like fighting each other to get to the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to sleep now. Get out of my way.
Sleep when they sleep.
Yes, exactly. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Okay, let's move on to the D, which is daily.
Yes.
And this is really about incorporating all of these tips just into our daily life, making it a lifestyle.
That's right. And I think, so many times we sleep in on weekends, or again, when I talked about the weekend warriors, you're going really hard or doing something strenuous on the weekends, you'll end up getting injured. I think it's something that you've got to get on a schedule. Don't sleep past, if you get up at 6 or 7 o'clock every morning, don't sleep in until 10 or 11 on the weekends. Your body just can't get used to that. So really try and set a schedule every single day, weekends, holidays, every once in a while, of course, it's going to change, but for the most part, you're always on that same set schedule.
Can you have cheat days when it comes to nutrition?
I think I don't consider it. I wouldn't call it a cheat day, or I don't necessarily believe in one massive cheat day. A lot of people do that. I kind of think of it more of like an 80-20, 85-15, something like that, where during the day I like to have a little bit of a, whether you call it a splurge or a cheat, I just call it life, because I like to have chocolate, or you like to have, whatever it happens to be, wine, or, something. So if you have a little bit of something every single day, that kind of is maybe not necessarily,
You're not
perfect
going
plan.
off the deep end with everything. But
Exactly. So if you wanted to have that be, if you're the type of person where you stay really healthy 6 days a week, and then on that 7th day, maybe you have one big meal, I think that's fine too. But again, I try to just stay that 80-20, 85-15.
That's a good guideline.
Yeah.
Now, I know your book is out. What is it called?
It's called Don't Diet, Live It.
Don't Diet, Live It. What are you trying to get people to realize there?
Well, the biggest thing is that, again, like I said, I had tried many diets and it just didn't work. And I think the whole idea is to not go on a diet and just go on a plan, a lifestyle that you can live with. And what this is it's 12 chapters, and each chapter is a month of the year. And so I've got recipes as well as my personal story in the book, and it just kind of outlines, it's a very seasonal thing, but I think the recipes really could go, year round. But it's got recipes for an entire meal. So you've got like a main dish, you've got sides, and then you've also got drinks and desserts in there as well. I love drinks and desserts. I grew up in a southern, my southern grandmother, she would have dessert and tea, so I love a theme, and I love to, go all out, because I think, it should, just because it's good for you doesn't mean it can't be special.
Right.
So, so there's, like iced tea recipes, or there's actually a spring recipe. I mentioned earlier that we had talked about asparagus being on sale. And asparagus, I think spring is a great time, whether it's when we have farmers markets or whatever it happens to be, to kind of experiment with new foods. And spring is a great time to have some of these springtime vegetables. And this is a meal that I did. This is in the book. It's also one that I did on Talk of the Town a while back. It's an asparagus and salmon and goat cheese frittata.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
And basically, it's a crustless quiche, basically. So it's made with eggs, and eggs are a great. I eat eggs almost every single day. I think it's a great protein. Yeah. And you want to eat the yolks and the eggs, because that's where all the protein and the vitamins are. And if the one that you see in the middle that almost looks like a pizza or a cake, that's the big frittata. You can bake in a pie dish. But also on the side there, you see little ones that I did in muffin tins.
Oh, great
and
idea.
They're great for snacks, like, to pull out. You can have it as a snack or for breakfast. I paired it there with just some baby greens and I love sweet, and adding a little bit of sweet, natural sweetness to something. So that's raspberries and almonds salad.
Now, do you put a dressing on your salad?
I do. I do a vinaigrette, and I have not bought a bottled dressing in years. And the vinaigrette is a very easy recipe. You just think 2 to 1. So you want 2 parts extra virgin olive oil to 1 part any vinegar or acid. So you could use lemon juice, or you could use balsamic vinegar or red wine vinegar. I keep a bunch of vinegars in my cabinet because vinegar keeps forever. So so you just add that, and you can shake it up and just pour a little bit on that, and it's really good.
What a healthy meal right there.
I know, and it
looks great.
Yeah, and then on the side, I just did a raspberry tea where it's just fresh brewed tea.
Yeah.
Add a little bit of fresh raspberries to it. You can also freeze raspberries, and they make kind of like an ice cube. And then I did the recipe in the book calls for raspberry sorbet, but that doesn't keep on Talk of the Town.
No, it doesn't.
So I just paired those are dark chocolate chips, like a 60 to 70% cacao, and some raspberries, and you can just sort of eat some of those together, and they make a really good snack too. So.
Man, I'm inspired. I think this is going to be on the list for next week.
And the thing about it is when you're adding, like goat cheese or salmon or things like that, sometimes kids or even husbands are a little unsure about things like that. But if you put them in something that is maybe a little more familiar or that is tastier like that, like a frittata.
We're going to disguise them, basically.
Yeah. And but it adds a really good, basically it adds a salt. Both of those are very kind of salty, tangy, and you don't necessarily have to tell them what they're eating. Just say here, and it's pretty. I think it's gorgeous when you, especially if you make it in the big one like that with the, you can lay them out however you want, and I think it's really pretty.
It is pretty. I like it. I'm definitely going to try that. See if my 3-year-old will eat it. I don't have to tell him it has salmon.
Well, I did a brunch where, and even if you don't use salmon, you could, that's a base recipe. You could use maybe turkey sausage or ground beef or whatever it happens to be. You can put any vegetables, any cheese, any meat in there. And kids love it. A mom said that usually she's been trying to get the kid to eat eggs, and that was the way she grabbed one of those little mini frittatas and just ate it like that. So, and the good thing too is that's good cold, room temperature, hot, anything.
Yeah, you can just grab out of the fridge and go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's talk about other snack ideas. This is something that I really struggle with because I'm always hungry once I get to work around 2. And I'm like, man, I am so sick of just eating nuts or some hummus.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you can eat that are healthy, that will sustain you to dinner time?
Yeah, you always want to have a little bit of protein with any meal and snack, because if you think about, I think if we've got the picture for the My Plate, instead of the food pyramid now they have what's called My Plate. Well, that's some snack ideas too. That is on the left is some whole grain pasta, and whole grain pasta has more protein, and then it's got some goat cheese or any kind of cheese really, and then some butternut squash.
Ooh,
and again, that can be made ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then the middle is 2 different types. One is a hummus, and then one is a white bean dip. So people who don't like hummus, just take white beans out of the can and mix them up, and you can add anything you want to them, and they are great for, you can use pita chips, or you could use any kind of vegetables with that. And the good thing about if you use beans, have a little bit of protein in them as well. And then on the far right is a trail mix, that is a cranberry almond trail mix with a little bit of Cheerios and some dark chocolate. And that's great too, because you can make a huge thing ahead of time and individually package them in little baggies or whatever, and they go, and it's not temperature sensitive. And again, you're getting some good protein with the almonds and a good healthy fat with the almonds. And you could do, you could do raisins and walnuts. You could mix that up a little bit.
I saw a great Facebook picture by some mom, who knows who it was, but she had a drawer in her kitchen, and it was the snack drawer, but it was filled with things like that in the little bitty bags that the kids could go in there at any time and they could pull out a snack, but she knew it was healthy.
Yeah, and the thing about trail mix too, when you make your own homemade trail mix, you know what's going into it, and I like that so much better than like a protein bar or a energy bar, things like that, because basically an energy bar, if you look at most energy bars, it's a glorified candy bar.
Yeah.
It has more sugar and usually more calories than like a Snickers bar. And those are, again, they're easy to take. You can put them in a ball bag or in your office, bag or whatever, and they don't get smushed, and they're perfect to take around. So
yeah, you got to keep your eye on those labels, because it can be so deceiving.
Yeah, and I also like to make things on my own, because if you look at a lot of pre-made packaged things, if you look on the ingredients list, there's a lot of ingredients that not only can I not pronounce, I don't know what it is.
Right.
So why would you want to eat it if you don't know what it is?
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Got to be so very careful. Any other snack ideas that you can think of?
The one that I really like too is Greek yogurt, pairing Greek yogurt or string cheese. I'm a big fan of string cheese, and pairing that with maybe, some grapes or a piece of fruit or some vegetables. That's some red grapes with a little bit of Greek yogurt, and then some string cheese with some baby carrots. And you always want to go Greek yogurt because it's got half the sugar and twice the protein, so you always want to go Greek. And you want to get plain, because if they have the fruit added in, it's basically just a sugar syrup. But the reason why you want to add the protein is because if you think about carbs and protein, carbs is like your quick burning fuel. So that's why, like, when you have sugar, you crash. So if you add some protein is like the long burning fuel. So think sugar, kindling, or and I mean natural sugars, whether it's fruit or vegetables, and then you add the protein, and so you'll feel satiated for longer, so you'll feel fuller longer, and you won't be hungry. So like if you're hungry at 2, if you have a little bit of more protein, it will help.
It can hold me over, yes, because I'm not here doing the news thinking, I just want to eat. I just really want to eat right now. I'm so hungry. So I need something at that 2 o'clock range to keep me satisfied and my mind not on what's the next meal. I think a lot of us feel that. What have been the best successes in your life, and how you've really stuck to this? Because you said you had that transformation in college.
Yeah, it was definitely, I had some family members that whether it was cancer or heart disease, a lot of things, I just kind of really wanted to get healthy. And so I started making changes. Not only, did I do research on what other people had done and, what worked, and I read through women's health and men's health magazines religiously, go through them several times when I get them, and but I started incorporating things where I saw what really worked. And like the nuts, I started eating a lot of nuts. In college, I lived in a little studio apartment, so I didn't have a big kitchen or anything, so I had to think about, okay, what can I have in my little apartment that I don't have to cook a big meal and have a big stove and all that kind of stuff. So I started using nuts and cheese and really incorporating protein, and started just really, again, focusing on making my own food. And again, it does not have to be elaborate. All the meals, the recipes in my book are not elaborate. You don't have to be a chef. I'm not a chef. I'm not trained in any. I'm trained by my grandmothers and myself.
Right.
What works, what doesn't, and you just learn about the way food affects you. And I really found that when I ate certain things, I had more energy and I just felt better about myself. And really, even like my skin and the way that I just felt a better presence about myself. And I think once you get a hold of all of that, then I love that when girls play sports. I think, once you realize that there's so much more to yourself than just the way you look in the mirror, and it really takes that mind-body connection of both eating and exercising and realizing I'm so much more than,
just a pretty face.
That's right,
or whatever.
That's right, exactly. And I think it helps because I have been there and I know the struggles, and I have, I think people look at me and maybe say, you don't know what it's like, or you've never felt that. And I have. I mean, I've got the stretch marks to prove it, and I've got, I remember one story that I tell people a lot is I dated this skinny little soccer player in high school. And I remember sitting next to him sometimes and I would be so embarrassed because I never wanted to sit next to him where our legs would be flat because my thigh was always so much bigger than his. And it's just, so it's something, I understand that. And honestly, I don't regret that. I'm not embarrassed by that. And those pictures I think that we showed earlier, to me it proves that, hey, you can get through this and you'll feel so much better. I'm 35 and I feel like I'm healthier at 35 than I was at 15. So
that's wonderful to hear.
Yeah,
it can be good. All right, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, more talk with Diane Dameron. Stick around. We're spring cleaning your health today.